In our last episode, we explored how Robert Bauval's theory linked the layout of the Giza pyramids to Orion's belt, and how the ancient Egyptians mirrored the heavens in their architectural masterpieces. But what if everything we know about the age of the pyramids is wrong? Bauval's journey didn't stop with just aligning pyramids to stars. He used cutting-edge technology to test an even more astonishing idea, a discovery that challenges the established timeline of Egypt's most iconic monuments. What if the pyramids weren't built in 2500 BC after all? In today's episode, we dive into the groundbreaking revelation that might rewrite the history of the pyramids as we know it. Let's begin. In the previous video, we discussed how Robert Bauval proved the layout of the Giza pyramids is identical to the layout of Orion's belt. And after long research in the pyramid's texts, he proves that even the placement of the River Nile simulates the Milky Way galaxy, and how the 7 pyramids extending from Abu Rawash to Dashur mirror the 7 stars in the sky. He published his discoveries in a scientific archaeological magazine. It was years later, in the early 90s, after his theory was published that everyone was able to have their own computer, Bauval purchased a program called Sky Globe, the program which astronomers used in order to know the location of the stars at any given time in history or in the future. This program, through certain calculations, was able to demonstrate the constellations and the changes in their locations due to the Earth's movement. In other words, you can see for yourself where the stars will be tomorrow or the next day, or even after 1,000 years. Through the Sky Globe program, Robert Bauval returned to the age the pyramids were supposed to be built approximately BC 2500, but he noticed something unusual. A note that made him wonder, did archaeologists misidentify the real age of the pyramids? Age of the pyramids. In the 60s, 2 researchers came up with an important theory, an Egyptology named Alexander Badawi and an astronomer named Virginia Trimble. It is well known that the Great Pyramid has 4 shafts. They recognized that the 2 slots in the King's Chamber were pointing towards Alnitak, the biggest star in Orion's belt, as well as the Thuban star, while the 2 shafts in the Queen's Room are pointing towards Sirius and Polaris. What really matters is the shaft in the King's Room. By their calculations, they found that the star Alnitak passed across the King's Chamber shaft at around 2500 BC, which was one of the reasons the Great Pyramids were dated back to 2500 BC. We'll see how Bauval took advantage of this theory. The Sky Globe program is now outdated, but we will use a similar program to observe what grabbed his attention. The program we will use is Stellarium. It is free and available on all operating systems, including Windows and Apple Mac. It can illustrate the sky and locations of stars within 100,000 years BC and AC, and it's available in the links below this video if anyone wishes to try it out. When you use the program, first you should locate the location on Earth from which you'd like to view the stars. We'll select the Giza region where the Giza pyramids are located, but feel free to choose any spot in northern Egypt where the old capital Memphis was. Then, you should insert the exact coordinates of longitude and latitude, which you can get from using Google Earth. Either way, the results will not differ much. Here from the list, we'll choose the Giza zone. Now, it's like we are standing at the pyramids in 2019. Bear in mind that the program only shows the sky, not the land, so it won't show the pyramids. But they are supposed to be here. Now we'll look at south. The letter S stands for south. Now the constellations display within the southern part of the sky. These lines are made by the program for easier identification of the constellations. Let us go back to the year 2500 BC by writing 2500 with a negative sign in the date field. This was the sky at that time. We can move the days and months back and forth until Orion and the Milky Way appears in front of us. This is Orion, and this line is the Milky Way. The angle of the axis of the pyramids from the horizon is exactly 45 degrees. But Robert noticed that, if we draw an imaginary line extending from the King's Chamber shaft, as Trimble and Badawi proved, then we will find that the pyramid's layout does not correspond to Orion's belt. This means that the builders correlated the shafts of the Great Pyramid to Alnitak, but they didn't correlate the same with the other 2 pyramids. there's a big difference in the angles. If you zoom in, you'll find a clear tilt in the angulation. Down there is the layout of the Giza pyramids set at a 45 degrees angle from the horizon, as we acknowledged earlier. But the constellation of Orion is at an acute angle, which is a big difference. In other words, if the pyramids had been built in 2500 BC, they wouldn't have been set up like this, but they would have been built at an acute angle to correspond to Orion's belt. At this point, you may be wondering, what if they just built 3 pyramids at random angles, and that's it? This is where we insist that ancient Egyptians made no mistakes and left nothing to chance, and nothing was randomly built. Everything was designed perfectly, and each angle they chose was for a specific reason. As Bauval continued his research, his findings raised a critical question. Did the ancient Egyptians really build the pyramids around 2500 BC? Or was their design connected to a much older celestial event? In today's video, we saw how the angles of the pyramids and the stars reveal something extraordinary, evidence that challenges our current understanding. But this is only the beginning. In the next episode, we'll uncover even more mysteries hidden in the alignment of the pyramids and the stars, secrets that could change the way we look at ancient Egypt forever. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on this mind-blowing journey into the past.